All right, we're gonna proceed on the segment of AWANI Green Action. We're gonna talk about how can we delve into the critical connection between sustainability and business strategy for SMEs. And we have one of our guests here, Nabila, which already on the line.
Yes, I'm going to introduce our guest for today, Ahila Ganesan, the founder of the Future of LinQ. And welcome. Good morning, Ahila.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with the first question here, and maybe can you share and provide the brief introduction to FutureLinQ and its mission in promoting sustainability, especially for SMEs?
Sure. So FutureLinQ is a consultancy. And we focus on sustainability and trying to connect sustainability to business strategy. Our focus is particularly towards SMEs. And we are very aware that SMEs need help right now. They contribute more than 90% of the businesses out there in Malaysia are SMEs. And to transition to this new outlook, this new horizon where ESG is so important, we are here to help them. So some of the common issues that they have is, how is this going to help my business? Is it going to be expensive? How does it increase or lower my profits? And should I even bother? So we try to navigate this for them. We try to connect it to their strategy and to their sustainability targets and goals.
That is among of the common issues or addresses that we face. And as a champion of change, what is FutureLinQ's vision for the role of sustainability in the business landscape, especially for the SMEs?
Okay, so it's pronounced FutureLinQ, yeah? So we look at it as how do we help them identify their risks and opportunities, right? So essentially, if you look at SMEs, they actually serve as vendors to bigger companies, could be public listed companies. How do you then help them make sure that they achieve the targets they need to achieve, not just in terms of growth, right, your bottom line, but also aligned with the clients that they serve. So if you are a company that has got a client who is a public listed company and they have certain targets for net zero, say by 2050, essentially what's going to happen is it's going to have a trickle down effect to the SMEs. SMEs will have to follow suit. So since this is going to happen, how do you build your credibility as an organization, your sustainability roadmap as well, to align with your client and make sure that when you go through your tender processes as well, when you bid for any projects, you are doing it well and in the right way, that it will help not just yourself, but your clients and to get the projects. So it is an imperative that you need to start looking at this if you're an SME. And that's where we come in. We help you strategize and give you a roadmap how to achieve that.
And of course, the future that we're seeing now is moving towards the green action. Maybe you could elaborate on how can we integrate environmental, social and governance ESG principles into the core of business strategies?
So every industry is different, right? So SMEs, it depends on which sector they play in. Obviously, if you are in a sector which is related to, say, oil and gas, there is a push to decarbonize by 2050 in a lot of areas. And you must also look at your shareholders and stakeholders, right? So if you are a SME that is serving specific areas or sectors, all of it is different. Every sector is different. Every challenge in a sector is different. So you need to align your needs for growth, right? Let's not forget, the business needs to grow. How do you grow sustainability? Sustainably, that is the question that we need to ask. And that's the question that we need to help SMEs to answer. So the way you need to integrate is dependent on a case-by-case basis, based on the sectoral needs, based on the needs of the company, as well as the needs of the client that they serve.
Definitely, we want to know on what ways we can tailor to every solution to all problem that is being addressed currently.
It's not as easy as a one-size-fits-all, and that's the reality. So some industries are further ahead in terms of introducing ESG. Predominantly, if you look at the agriculture sector, right, palm oil, or if you look at oil and gas, they're ahead of other sectors when it comes to this, or grappling with the issues of ESG. So if you're looking at specific areas, let's talk about small, right? Small things that a company can do is, of course, internally, right? So you've got your scope 1 emissions that you can look at. So you can look at how you want to reduce your scope 1 or scope 2 emissions internally, right? And it could be small things like going paperless. It could be small things like making sure that you are energy efficient. But that's only one portion of it. It helps bring down the cost. But there's a bigger picture, because you need to look at how you want to be sustainable and how you want to move towards helping your client, because you serve a client, you serve an industry, how to make sure that they have confidence in you to take you on as a vendor or a supply chain. So it's very important to make sure that you as the supply chain, because most SMEs are the supply chain, is sustainable and green moving forward. So it's not an easy thing of one size fits all, where you can say all industries across all sectors will have to do A, B, C, D, E. It really depends on who your client is. And different people are in different parts of the journey.
And to cater to the global needs of implementing the initiatives of ESG sounds like a need right now in all the organizations. So how can ESG practices set startups and also SMEs apart in a competitive market? And what advantages do they gain by adopting sustainable and ethical operations?
You look at long-term viability. You're right. You're absolutely right. Right now, the focus is on ESG, on sustainability. So it is important for you to look at your long-term viability in order to be relevant in the future. That's one. There's also the issue of, by starting now, you will have cost savings. You might not see it immediately, but you will have cost saving. The other area is that you do have more access to investments, right, in terms of loans, because even banks are now looking at financing businesses that are sustainable. So access to funding is very important. Access to the markets, the capital markets, is very important. And how do you do that? So you need to have that track record that you're sustainable, to have a roadmap, to have the implementation, and to ensure that all parts of your company is adhering to ESG.
And accessing the market is one thing. Adapting, implementing ESG is another thing. So with investors increasingly considering ESG criteria, how does aligning with ESG principle enhance a startup or SME's attractiveness to the potential investors?
Essentially because the pressure is there, right? So if you look at, let's take a simple case. Perhaps you're a company that serves a public listed company in Malaysia. There is pressure from Bursa right now for a company to ensure that they are looking at ESG considerations. And this will have a trickle-down effect to the SMEs that are serving them, right? So it is in everyone's interest right now, if you want to continue to have business or continue to grow, for you to actually start looking at it. So your question as to what is in it for the SMEs, it is business viability and sustainability in the long term, right? Cost savings will be there. If you start now, you'll be ahead of the game. And at the end of the day, when you start looking at your tender processes, you will be tendering with knowing what your client wants, and you'll be ahead of the game. So it's not just about the funding that is required and how you have more access to funding or loans, but it's also about how you have better access to projects as well if you're bidding for projects.
Ahila, we need to know how is Malaysia actually ready for a cultural shift within organizations to actually embrace these sustainable and ethical practices?
Honestly, right now, there's been a lot of talk, especially last year, about how to get the SMEs to adopt, right? So there have been many instances where the government has actually started helping. In Budget 2024, they talked about tax deductions on ESG-related expenditures, right? So, and they also talked about the green technology tax incentive, where you have gone in green investment tax allowance, which is GITA, and green income tax exemption, which is GITE. And all of this is helping. Are we ready? We are starting the journey, and the government is helping us. the government is putting out policies out there. They also have introduced frameworks in order to help SMEs adopt. They have incentivized SMEs by having tax breaks and tax deductions. So these are some of the ways in which they are helping the SMEs. So we are ready to start the journey, but we have a long way to go.
Definitely for the business out there who is watching, we hope this can be a call to action for those looking to integrate sustainability within their operation. I want to say thank you very much to our guest, Ahila Ganesan, the founder and the FutureLinQ.